Hi, Substack community. I thought I would leave you a video message today to explain a little bit about the Rundown Studio, my work at the ZVG, my media advisory firm, and explain what it is I'm trying to achieve by building a prompt library. I hope you've had a chance to go check it out. Okay. The first thing I want to do is explain why I'm doing this. Since I left CNN and immersed myself in the communication space in emerging markets, what I've discovered is the following. First of all, hiring PR and communications teams are very expensive and sometimes prohibitive to some really fantastic companies in various African countries and other emerging markets. And that's not fair. Why should someone not have their story told because they can't afford access to expertise like I and my team have and many other excellent PR firms? So, number one, those firms can be extremely expensive. For startups, just completely inaccessible. How do you write a good press release? How do you craft an idea that would be interesting to a journalist? You need expertise for that. Okay. The second thing is a lot of times when organizations, corporate communications teams will try and pitch their story or their product launch or an angle that they want to reach the media, they're just too in their own heads, right? They just want to tell their story. And because they're so immersed in it, they don't realize that actually what they're pitching is not that interesting, not that newsworthy, and isn't hitting a trajectory of interest in a newsroom. And so while their story may have some good and strong aspects about it, they tend to focus on the more banal, less interesting, more corporate, 85 people have to agree on something, and then it becomes very diluted when they go to a PR firm and they try and get it in the media. It lands flat, right? So when AI and generative AI and large language models started to become more accessible to people, I realized that if I transferred the knowledge I have about shaping stories, what people come to me for, to tell their story to the world, if I was able to bake that into a prompt, and I don't just see it as, oh, hey, here's a prompt. I see it as a transfer of knowledge. I see it as a way to empower emerging markets communications teams. I see it as a way of people who can't afford my services or expertise can actually buy a relatively cheap prompt. It doesn't mean that it's devalued, but it's cheaper to access a $250 prompt than a $20,000 a month price tag for some of the kind of services that global PR and communications firms will charge. So what you're seeing in the prompt library is 10 plus years of expertise in how to shape stories for an emerging market community to tell it to the world. And people want to hit CNN, BBC, Financial Times. We want to be in the New York Times. Well, your story, your pitch, your release needs to be strong enough to be of interest. And that's what I thought that we should be able to share and empower startups, corporate comms teams in emerging markets. They should have access to this valuable knowledge, right? Now, LLMs, Claude, Grok, Gemini, ChatGPT have democratized the kind of expertise that someone like myself may have. I've been asked often, well, why do I need your prompts? Why not just go to ChatGPT and ask for a press release? Well, you can, right? But the very specific, very directed, experience laden, nuance ridden knowledge that I have, particularly in an emerging market, particularly in an Africa context, isn't there. Okay. So I could give you, with our prompts, a much better head start on a much better quality controlled product than you would get just throwing a bunch of things into a large language model. Wouldn't mean that you wouldn't get something okay or good, but you wouldn't get something great or really great the way that our prompts in the rundown.studio and my work with my team would deliver to you, right? So I want to challenge the international model of public relations and media pitching. And I want to put it in your hands. And you have to learn and be willing to understand, how do we take the knowledge that we're giving you in this prompt library and deploying it for yourselves? How will you integrate it in your workflows? What are your own nuances, checks and balances that you can add to the work that we've done? So I want us to think about our rundown prompt library as a way to write stronger press releases, as a way to pitch better hooks to journalists, as a way to see the language and the structure that we've used and try and adapt it to your own environment. And we offer our services in trying to direct your own unique context, your own local knowledge, your own company's environment, but to keep the core value and the core principles of what a corporate communications team needs to be able to deliver successfully. Okay, those are the problems I'm trying to solve, and those are the clear problems I see in almost every single emerging market corporate communications team, whether it be it from a small startup to a foundation to a corporation. There's always the similar trends and similar obstacles that are faced, and we are giving you in this library, in my view, the knowledge that I and the team have accrued over the years on how to direct things to be high quality, more efficient, and give you back a little bit more time in building relationships with journalists and thinking about the story you want to deliver and how you want to roll it out. The other thing that you're going to see in our prompt library is newsroom prompts. Having been at CNN for almost 15 years, and prior to that being a Kenyan journalist in Nairobi for 3 years, I have a good understanding of what a show, a television newscast, or a video production needs to look like for an anchor. What kind of language, what kind of structure, what kind of nuance that a half an hour or 25-minute broadcast needs to have. What are those components? Language, pronunciation, organization of an A block, hard news, B block, a perspective block, C block, a features block, and a kicker. And so my team and I are giving newsrooms in emerging markets the ability to buy, in some instances, download for free, our prompts to help generate a quality newscast, exactly how it was produced at CNN. And generative AI gives us the ability to do this. It doesn't mean that you just blindly cut, paste, talk, present. It means that you have a tool that can direct you to build a quality script that an editor and the anchor should check and then deliver. And we are saving you time and are giving you expertise. The last thing that you're going to see that I care about in our prompt library is two prompts that and I like to call them frameworks, by the way, because, I have a prompt for this, I have a prompt for that. It sort of cheapens the kind of work. It's cheaper, but I don't mean it to cheapen the kind of effort that we're putting into this, because we are transferring knowledge here, okay? In many African countries, we feel frustrated how the West is presenting us, negative stereotypes, a lack of understanding of culture that is not in large language models. Nuance isn't there. These are Western trained, Silicon Valley trained large language models that bring Western perspective. I wanted to develop a country prompt for Kenya, and then when I started doing it, I realized, okay, wait. That's a lot on no budget. And so what the team and I did is we did some work to try and build what we think is a more nuanced Kenya framework prompt that can be deployed in order to show where businesses investing in Kenya or startups that want to build a business in Kenya, where they go wrong, where they don't understand our unique cultural nuance, if you upload your go-to-market plan, if you upload your business plan, the idea is that this prompt, at least on a cursory level, tells you where you may go wrong. Like, hey, wait, you haven't really considered, this digital environment. You haven't really considered how an elder network works in a particular area, like in a Kikuyu predominant area or in a Luo area, or if you're trying to do something at the coast, or what you really need to understand about this culture, you can go drastically wrong. And here's how other companies have gone wrong. So I really want all Kenyans to test this out for me. It's not perfect, but I think it needs work. But I'm showing us, I think, and I'm learning myself, that there is a way for us to tell our own stories, to ensure that our cultural layers are in there, and that can be beneficial for investors or startups because it's going to bring us jobs, right? So I would like us to test the free Kenya prompts and give us feedback on what you think of it. I hope that everyone will take a look at the prompt library. Please know that I'm building my own skills, and I want you to as well. I really appreciate you listening to this, and I will be recording some how-to videos because I understand that everyone is at different levels. But I want you to dive in with me, because what I'm trying to do is going to empower corporate comms teams, newsrooms in emerging markets, and small businesses and startups and investors that want to come to Kenya. And we're doing that through knowledge transfer. And we're doing that through the creation of prompts, prompt engineering, or just ideas that I'm sharing with you, that I want you to join me and be part of my journey and yours.